Hello everybody and welcome back to your 10 Minutes of Eve. I'm Casuality and today I would like to show two practical fitting examples and explain other factors you need to keep in mind when fitting a ship. This is a direct follow-up of the last episode where we looked at skills required to fit and fly a ship. But I think in this case today really will mean two episodes, one for each example fitting I've prepared, so that I don't have to hurry too much in order to keep close to the 10 minutes mark, which, as you may have noticed, I completely failed to stick to anyway in the past. But I'll try to improve. So, first of all, we are going to look at the Venture, which is a Tech 1 mining frigate you will receive from the career agents or from the mining career agent if you complete his mission chain. You should even get two of them, I think, during the career agent missions. Every time you consider how to fit a ship, it's a good idea to look first at the traits and bonuses the ship has to offer, which you can find here. So, as you can see, this is a mouse tooltip, which you can see in the fitting simulation or by bringing up the show info screen of every ship from almost everywhere where you can see it. These are called the traits and role bonuses. As you see, the upper bonuses improve per mining frigate skill level, and the role bonus is fixed. Those bonuses do not absolutely dictate your fitting, but disregarding a ship bonuses obviously should be something you have a good reason for, because you are not using the full potential of the ship if you fit against the bonuses. Unsurprisingly, for a mining ship, most of the Venture's bonuses are geared towards mining. More or less all of them, except for the last two role bonuses. The first one gives the Venture additional warp core strength, which means that it's harder to pin down by an enemy player or NPC, preventing you from escaping into warp. And the other one is a reduction in the industrial sinusoidal field generator liquid ozone consumption. This is advanced stuff. You can use the Venture to fit a sinusoidal field generator, which can create a beacon where a jump freighter can jump to. This is obviously nothing a beginner needs to worry about, so we will just ignore those two bonuses. Okay, according to the philosophy of the Venture as a mining ship, I fitted the two available high slot hardpoints with main mining lasers and the one low slot with a mining laser upgrade to improve the efficiency of mining. High slots are mostly used for weapons. In this case, you see we have three high slots, but indicated by those dots here, only two turret hardpoints where I can actually fit weapons, and mining lasers in this regard count as weapons. If a ship can also fit rocket or missile launchers, there would be similar dots here, but as you can see, a Venture cannot fit any missiles. I filled up the remaining high slot with a salvaging module, which allows me to crack down wrecks and get some salvage components from them, which can be sold or used in industry for rig production, because there's not too much you can do with this high slot anyway. This leaves the remaining mid and rig slots for defense and utility purposes. Here you have room for personal preference. A frigate is quite fast by nature and does not absolutely need a propulsion module, but it's nice nevertheless, and therefore I've fitted an afterburner here. In the simulation, the green highlight means that this is an active module, which only works if you activate it, and if you left click on it, you can simulate what happens if the module is not running. In this case, it reduces the subwarp speed, so you have the information both how fast the ship is with afterburner active and without. Nice but not absolutely necessary also is the survey scanner, which you can find here. It scans all asteroids in a 20-kilometer radius, and then you see what asteroids you have within that radius and how much ore they contain, and you can select the best of them for your purposes. So, for example, this ship has an ore hold of 5,000 cubic meters, and if you find an asteroid who has more than that, then you know you can mine that asteroid without too much thinking about it until your cargo hold is full. But generally this is not really necessary. As a tank, you will want to defend against NPC ships, pirates, which you can fight with the 2 drones your ship can also hold in its drone bay. And therefore I fitted a medium-sized shield extender into this fit. Also 3 core defense field extender rigs, which improve the hit points of the shields. This is a defense purely against NPCs, but please be realistic. If a player wants to attack your ship, your meager defense will not be able to withstand very long, whatever you do. This is not a fighting ship. You have alternatives here. So for example, instead of a buffer tank, which means it's passive and only relies on the amount of hit points to withstand the attack, you can also fit an active defense, so-called shield booster, which will heal your shields continuously. You may have noticed that the green stable sign here changed to depletes in 25 seconds. That means all active modules running together will empty your capacitor in 25 seconds, and then modules will turn off and will not work until the capacitor has recovered. If you can also play around a little bit and turn off modules which you do not plan to use together, and you will see how this affects capacitor. Yeah, when fitting a ship, I usually reserve the rigs for last, because in some cases my CPU or power grid does not suffice to fit the modules I want, and I can get some additional resources via the rigs, or I use them to compensate other weaknesses in the fit, for example shield resistances, but we will talk about that later when we talk about the second fit. As I said, this is not a fighting ship anyway, so defensive rigs are not really necessary. I don't need additional CPU or power grids, so I could also remove those, and it would probably be a good idea if I use an active fit to fit rigs which increase capacitor regeneration. You can already see the difference between some of the ship's resources. CPU and power grid are absolute, and you either have enough of them to fit everything you want or not. You can improve the amounts of CPU and power grid you have through modules or rigs, but this does not change during play. So if you have completed fitting, you do not need to worry about CPU and power grid anymore. Capacitor, on the other hand, is in flow and changes with the number and type of active modules you actually use, as you have seen while we played around here. If the capacitor is empty, as said, active modules will turn off and you cannot initiate warp, meaning you cannot escape from a tight situation until the capacitor has recovered. If the only modules affected would be mining lasers, this is only an inconvenience, but if this happens to tanking modules in the middle of a fight, this is potentially fatal, of course. Therefore, you should try to strive towards a stable capacitor, meaning that you can run your active modules indefinitely, which was the case when I had the shield extender module fitted. I could even use a better one, and it would still be stable because this is a passive module which does not need capacitor at all. If you like mining in the Venture, increase your skills until you can use Tech 2, mining lasers, and mining upgrades, and maybe also Tech 2 drones. This training will not be wasted, because you can make use of these skills even and when you progress to a better mining ship. But this fitting should be available to a day 1 clone, alpha clone. Well, let's proceed to the second fit in the second of today's episodes.